Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week, we review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course, our fellow podcasters. Check us out on the web at nomcastpod.com. Follow us on the socials at nomcastpod, and most importantly, listen and subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts. Hit that beat one time.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Elise.
Hosts of Crackin' One Open with Mike and Elise.
A podcast about brews, news, and pop culture reviews.
Every Friday, we choose a new craft beer from a different brewery and talk about
the history of the beer,
what's in it,
how it was made,
the history of the brewery,
along with tasting notes and more fun facts.
After that, come chill with us as we bring you the latest in pop culture news and reviews.
So check out Crackin' One Open, part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Boom!
I guess I like sports movies.
Yeah, like real creepy like. Did you notice him with his pants down?
Oh, with his pants down?
Yeah.
I just noticed somebody was there.
Yeah. No, his pants are down.
He's taking it down?
And I'm thinking to myself, I want to do the secret cabal stuff. I don't want to just go and drink.
You still got to wear a cloak and stuff.
No. I want the real cabal stuff. Like I want the stuff where we're controlling the world.
I want the signet ring.
You know what? Screw that. Hi, I'm Mike Field.
And I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or maybe the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Woo!
Oh, come on. That stuff is terrible, man.
In the 1870s,
Ooh,
Captain
sorry.
Nathan Algren, Tom Cruise, a cynical veteran of the American Civil War who will work for anyone, is hired by Americans who want lucrative contracts with the Emperor of Japan to train the peasant conscripts for the first standing imperial army in modern warfare using firearms. The Imperial Amura, Masato Harada, cabinet's first priority is to repress a rebellion of traditionalist samurai, hereditary warriors who remain devoted to the sacred dynasty but reject the westernizing policy and even refuse firearms. Yet, when his ill-prepared superior force sets out too soon, their panic allows the sword-wielding samurai to crush them. Badly wounded, Algren's courageous last stand makes the samurai leader Katsumoto, Ken Watanabe, spare his life. Once nursed to health, he learns to know and respect the old Japanese way and participates as advisor in Katsumoto's failed attempt to save the Bushido tradition. But Amura gets repressive laws enacted. He must now choose to honor... ... And that's
What is this, a treatment? Jeez, man.
Written by KGF Vizers.
It's called brief. It's called editing. We're talking about The Last Samurai today. Excellent. I actually like that. We go right into the synopsis. I think that should remain. I think there should be a staple for all of our movies going forward, all of our episodes. I don't know how you feel about that.
I like it sometimes, and so I like when we change it up.
Nah, I don't like that.
I have yet to jump right into this.
I have spoken, and that is what we're doing. All right, so The Last Samurai is a runtime of 154 minutes. It's rated R, production budget of $140 million, released on December 5th, 2003, about 17 years ago. Opening weekend did $24 million, domestic $111 million, worldwide $455 million. It was definitely bigger internationally. Production company was Radar Pictures, the Bedford Falls Company, Cruise and Wagner Productions, and it was distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures. I don't know if you've heard of them. So on the same day and December 5th, you had Honey, the Jessica Alba star, right?
Yep.
And Mariah Carey's in that. You also had an extended edition of Lord of the Rings, A Fellowship of the Rings that was released. And this is the reason why that is out, because the following week you had The Two Towers come out in a re-release. And then the week after that, you had Return of the King released. So that's why you started seeing all the Lord of the Rings starting this week on.
Filter in.
Right. On the 10th of December, which is 5 days after this, which is probably the Wednesday, you had a limited release Big Fish with the Ewan McGregor movie directed by Tim Burton, which I enjoyed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
On the 12th, that Friday, you had Stuck on You, a Farrelly Brothers movie with Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear. You like that?
Stuck on You's
Got
okay.
moments.
It's not my favorite Farrelly Brothers
It's got moments. Something's Gotta Give. Jack Nicholson's in that. Love Don't Cost a Thing. Girl with a Pearl Earring in a limited release. And The Statement in a limited release. I think I saw The Statement. I'm not sure, though.
I don't know what The Statement
It's
is.
with Michael Caine. I can't remember. I know he's in it. I think I've seen it. The 26th of November, which is the week before this, which is the Wednesday. So it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. You have The Haunted Mansion. That is the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion.
It's been that long since that came out.
Yeah. Timeline. I know you like, we both like Timeline.
Timeline, the movie's good. The book is a little better, but the movie is just kind of like a shortened version.
Books are always better. Yep. The Missing, which is with Cate Blanchett and Tommy Lee Jones. Bad Santa. That's a very funny movie. In a limited release, you have The Cooler, which I really like. We should put that on the list. In America, which we've talked about before. And The Triplets of Belleville. The reason why I have that there is because that won the Academy Award the following year for Best Animated Feature. So The Last Samurai was directed by Edward Zwick. If you don't know who Edward Zwick is, let me tell you about Edward Zwick. He directed Glory, which is an awesome film. Legends of the Fall, About Last Night, and more recently Trial by Fire, which I did not know, and I want to see that. And he actually, I don't know if he's a series creator, but he directed the first episode of the Hilary Swank show Away that is on Netflix that I'm watching right now. He also wrote the screenplay with Marshall Herskowitz. They are actually writing partners, but the screenplay and another screenplay and a story credit was given to John Logan, who did Mike. Oh my God. It's your show.
He did Star Trek.
No. Rango.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Rango as well. Yep. I thought you were doing a Star Trek.
No, I was doing a Rango because I know
Okay.
you love Rango.
Rango.
There you go. Skyfall, Spectre, Alien Covenant, and he did the TV series Penny Dreadful. I believe both of them, the spinoff too.
I still have to watch the spinoff.
Zwick and Hershkowitz both wrote American Assassin. They did the Jack Reacher Never Go Back. I believe they both did Defiance in terms of writing. Zwick has directed some of those as well. Hershkowitz also wrote Love and Other Drugs. They also created a show in the 80s called, was it 80s, late 80s, early 90s, 30-something. If you've heard of that, your parents might have if you're young. They're a pretty good show. Anyway, cinematography by John Toll, who is more recently doing The Matrix 4. He also did a movie that we just did called The Adjustment Bureau. Check it out. Cloud Atlas as well. Composed by Hans Zimmer. We've talked about Hans Zimmer before because Hans Zimmer did what, Mike? Rango again. Way to go, Mike.
I'm right on it.
Days of Thunder, Twister, and he won the Oscar for The Lion King. Produced by a whole mess of people. Tom Cruise is one of them. Paula Wagner, as I said, it's a producing duo. They've done all the Mission Impossibles, Marshall, Elizabethtown. They've also produced Shattered Glass, Narc, Without Limits. I tried to find some movies that Cruise produced that he was not in. He basically produces all his own films. You had Scott Krupp, who has produced Bill and Ted 1, 2, and 3, the 95 Jumanji, and Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which I kind of want to watch again. I think it got a bad rep.
I watched that a long time ago.
Yeah, but I was expecting kind of like The Faculty. I was expecting Scream, that kind of thing, because that's when it came out. Kevin Williamson.
Right, yeah.
And it was. I think it was lumped in with that, but it was a different type of movie. I should watch that again. Tom Engelman, and since October's coming up, that's probably a good idea to watch that since it's a horror movie. Tom Engelman has Terminal Velocity.
It's way past October now.
Oh, this is true. I apologize. We were recording in October, or about to record. Never mind. Tom Engelman has did Terminal Velocity and Chronicles of Riddick. Edited by two people, Victor Dubois and Steven Rosenblum. Dubois did Anna Karenina, the 1997 version, and Leaving Normal. Rosenblum nominated for an Oscar for Blood Diamond, Braveheart, and Glory, all three. Before I go to the cast, I want to give you some other Oscar nods. Zwick has won the Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. He produced that, and he was nominated for Traffic. John Logan has nominations for Hugo, The Aviator, and Gladiator. And then John Toll nominations. He actually won for Braveheart and Legends of the Fall, and he was nominated for The Thin Red Line. This is for cinematography. So I just wanted to toss that in there real quick.
I've seen Legends of the Fall.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder, I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's definitely a movie you should watch because it's got a lot of good people in there, and it's worth watching. But
It's an oft talked about movie. So.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not flawed. There's some moments.
Blow your mind, Mike.
It's got some flaws, but it's still worth watching. All right, so obviously, Tom Cruise is in this, everyone. He plays Nathan Algren. I'm really not going to give you his credits because if you don't know who Tom Cruise is, then you have not been paying attention. But I will tell you that I'm really excited for Top Gun Maverick or whenever the heck that comes out.
I'm excited for him to go into space in a couple months to film his.
That's
thing.
awesome. I did see the video of his motorcycle jump.
Oh, right.
Right, yeah.
That was awesome.
Ridiculous. Ken Watanabe as Katsumoto. This is the movie that made Watanabe known to American audiences. He was already well established in Japan. But this is is he Japanese? Yeah.
A lot of the film actors, the Japanese actors, are well known.
But they shot in New Zealand most of the movie. I know. But he's also in Inception, Batman Begins, and Letters from Iwo Jima. Excuse me. Tony Goldwyn as Colonel Bagley or Colonel Bagley. Bagley. He is the dirtbag in Ghost who kills his best friend and then tries to hook up with his best friend's ex-wife now, or widow. What a jerk, right? He's in the TV show Scandal, and he's also more recently in the Belko Experiment. Masato Harada as Umura. I'm gonna tell you right now, these Japanese names are gonna be tough on me, but I'm gonna try to get them right.
Like most, other than the Emperor's name.
I'm getting there, man. I'm gonna get there. He was in he's known for Chronicle of My Mother, Bounce Kogals, and Inugami, but I will say this: Harada is a director. He used to be a critic, big time critic, and then he became a director. So he doesn't really do a lot of acting now. He's more of a director. Timothy Spall as Simon Graham, who we know him from our episode of Enchanted. Way to go, Butler! At Dynamite.
I just keep thinking of him.
Dynamite drop in.
I always think of him in Harry Potter. So
he definitely plays who does he play? Wormtail in Harry Potter series. He's also in Secrets and Lies, which that's a movie. That's a older film, late 90s, early 90s, excuse me, I think. I don't know if you'd like that. It's really more of a drama. But you might like it. Yeah. Billy Connolly as Zebulon Gant. Nice name. He
they never say his name in the movie, I don't think.
No, they don't.
Because when I saw it in the credits, I was like, his name is Zebulon?
I don't know if he was nominated for a BAFTA or he won a BAFTA for his role in Mrs. Brown. I thought I wrote that down. Whatever. But it was something to do with a BAFTA. He was also in the Boondock Saints. He's in The Hobbit, and he's in the animated movie Brave. Shin Koyamada as Nobutada. Yes. He was in Wendy Wu, a Homecoming Warrior, and the Yokai King. These are TV shows in Japan. Here we go. Hiroyuki Sanada. I don't think I did that. Yeah. Hiroyuki Sanada. Yes. Sanada. He played Yujiro. He plays the dude that Yujiro is the guy that's giving him shit most of the time. Katsumoto's like right hand guy, like his enforcer, I should say. He's actually in Ringu 1 and 2. The original, the movie Ring that was done is based on those. He's also in the movie Sunshine, the Wolverine. He's in the Lost TV show, and he's in the Westworld TV show. So he looks very familiar when you see him on screen. So I think if people saw this movie, they'd be like, I know him somewhere. Koyuki, yes, I think that's right. Plays Taka. She's in, I'm going to get this, Raoul Lemon and Blood, the Last Vampire and Alive. These are Japanese shows.
Blood, the Last Vampire has got a little bit of a cult thing in America.
Yeah. She is a model. That's why she has the one name. She's a model turned actress, but she's very popular. Mm-hmm. Shun Sagata. I think Nakayo, I think. He was in Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. Bunraku. Have you seen Bunraku?
I have not.
That's good.
I've heard good things
It's
about
good,
it.
yeah. And he's in Koroshia 1. I don't know what that is, but I believe it's a movie in Japan. Toko Igawa, yes. General Hasagawa. He is in Memoirs of a Geisha. He's also in The Last Jedi, Mike, which I know you hate. He's in 47 Ronin, but also he is the voice of Hiro in the Thomas the Train series. Yes. And like all his credits are like he's in every single Thomas, even the new ones. So if you have children like I do and you watch the episode Hiro, this is the guy. God wrote the next guy we got. Oh man, Shinsuke Nakamura.
That's the one I knew you were gonna
butcher. Emperor. He plays Emperor Mihi. I don't know if I said that right. He is in the Tale of the Princess Kaguya. I think I said that wrong. And he's in a bunch of Japanese TV shows. William Atherton as the Winchester rep. I just put him in there because people will probably know him. He's in Die Hard 1 and 2, Ghostbusters, Real Genius. And then you had Scott Wilson as Ambassador Swanbeck.
He was also in one of our other films as
well. Go ahead. What is it? Here we go. Well, when you figure that out, you can tell me what movie. You can tell me what Scott Wilson, who played Ambassador Swanbeck, what movie was he in that we did? It's in season 5.
I'm working on
Clay Pigeons. Way to go. He's also in the TV show The Walking Dead and Hostiles. He passed away 2 years ago. Butler, you suck.
I can't believe I can't think of the name of this movie. Oh my God.
Oh, terrible. All right. So I'm going to just wrap it up with The Last Samurai has 4 Oscar nominations: art direction, costume design, and
Sugarland Express.
Hey, cut me off again. Art direction, costume design, sound mixing, and best supporting actor, which is Watanabe. Now I'm going to tell you right now, after watching this movie again, I think he should have won because he is phenomenal in this movie.
No, absolutely.
He is by far the best thing. This movie is I enjoy this movie, but he is the best thing about this movie. And so I wanted to see who else was nominated that year and who won. I want to see if you remember who won. So he's nominated. You had Alec Baldwin for The Cooler was nominated as well. This is supporting actor. Digimon Hansu for In America, Tim Robbins for Mystic River, and Benicio del Toro for 21 Grams. Who won?
Was it Benicio?
No, it was Tim Robbins for Mystic River. And I'm going to tell you right now, I read the book for Mystic River, which I enjoyed, and I like the movie Mystic River.
Is he the mentally handicapped?
No. He's the father.
Okay.
He's the father that kills the daughter of Sean Penn.
Penn's character, yeah.
And I'm sorry. He talks like, I'm sorry, but like he's good. It's not a terrible role, but after watching The Last Samurai again, Watanabe should have won. He is awesome in this movie. So as soon as I saw he was nominated, let me see what that year, and I look at the nominees, I'm like, damn it, no. All right, Butler. So I already told you I liked it. I can't remember. You said you saw this before, right?
Oh, I've seen this a bunch of times.
Okay. I think the last time I saw this was in the theater. A complete watching was in the theater. I've seen parts of it when it's been on TV. It's on. Okay. I remembered very little. I remembered some stuff at the end. I remember like little pieces, but I didn't remember the whole thing. Where would you want to kick off here?
Oh, well, I don't know. I've seen this probably 4 times, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Okay.
I watched it in theaters, then I got it on DVD, and then I just watched that DVD a few times. And then I probably haven't seen it since high school.
Right.
I remembered more scenes than you, but I mean, the scene that stuck out in my mind is obviously, I don't know if it's the scene that you remember most, is his wooden sword fight scene where he just keeps getting back up as he's getting knocked down.
I remembered it, but I didn't like.
That was like the one I
of it.
remembered clearly in my mind with the
Right.
music playing and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this movie.
Okay.
I've always really liked this movie.
Okay.
I still really like this movie. So where do you want to start? Since you hadn't seen it in a long time and you didn't remember as much.
You know what? I know where we can start. Let's start off right with the controversy because I want to get right to that.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, I'm just kidding.
Which controversy? The fact the Tom Cruise one or the samurai aspect of it? Because there's 2 controversies.
Yeah, well, let's do the Tom Cruise one because
Okay.
that's the big one. So this movie is kind of pointed out for a variety of reasons. The fact that it's a movie that has quote unquote that white savior complex, which is, it's a story that takes place in, I don't want to say feudal Japan, but it's at a time in Japanese history where, because the emperor is a real emperor, obviously this is based on some true stories.
Based in the Meiji Rebellion.
The restoration, of
Right.
Japan, when he's trying to take imperial Japan from where it was to empire Japan, which is basically to modernize, westernize the westernize the civilization,
Right.
westernize the army, modernize it. They're trying to modernize is what I keep saying.
They're trying to keep up with the rest of the world.
Right.
They're trying to become a world power.
Now, the idea that Westerners aren't brought over to Japan to do this is that happened. That happened all the time. Now, it wasn't American. It was more French, I believe. It was French military advisors came over.
Right.
But obviously, if Tom Cruise he's going to be in it. It's not going to be a French film.
It's an American film.
Right. I understand. I don't want to say it's negativity. I think some people just point it out. I think they do a very good job of kind of introducing to you the culture. I don't get the complete negative side of this. I mean, I understand why people talk about it, but I don't know if I buy into it too much.
Yeah, he's not really this. He's the savior in that he can advise Nakamura, but it's Nakamura, right? Not
No. Katsumoto.
Katsumoto.
You're talking about the samurai.
Katsumoto, yeah. He advises Katsumoto, but he's not the savior. He is saved by the samurai.
Correct.
And it's, everybody talks about how it's like white arrogance and stuff like that, but when Mulan came out, there was a particular actor who was saying like, "Oh, I can't wait to see about how people talk about my people's honor."
Yeah.
It's like movies back then. It's like the honor is something we've lost and they want to get back. It's not something that's insulting. It's something that we as Americans think we don't have enough of.
Right.
And we look up to that.
Right.
And it's Algren who is saved by the samurai in the end.
Yes.
So
No, I hear.
yeah.
Well, I think part of the not anger but negativity towards this movie is that the misconception that The Last Samurai is in reference to Algren. It's not. The title, and it's not even Katsumoto. This has been on record. The Last Samurai is, you're supposed to look at it as a plural form. It's supposed to mean the entire samurai culture.
Right.
That's The Last Samurai. It's not Tom Cruise. He is not The Last Samurai. So stop thinking that. Just because his big head is on the poster and it says The Last Samurai, the big head is on the poster so that when people walk in the theater and they see, oh my, that Tom Cruise got a new movie, I'm going to put down $15 for that. That's why his head's on the poster.
And that's not even in America. That's the whole world.
Right.
That's Japan as well.
Exactly. That's the other reason. This movie made more money internationally than it did at home. It made more money in Japan than it did in America. So right there off the bat, enough. But go to the samurai controversy
So a lot of people, especially in Japan, they don't denounce the movie, but it's kind of just like with the Tom Cruise thing. They pointed out that it glorifies the samurai at the end of the restoration, and the samurai people say were very corrupt by the end, and they didn't want the modernization because they would lose their privilege as the warrior class. The top knots being cut off and all that stuff did happen, but they were also a class above the rest, and they didn't like that their status was going to be lowered, and that's why they really had the rebellion. It was less about honor and safety and protection of the empire, and more about, oh man, are we going to lose our jobs?
Yeah. No, which I mean, that's human nature in terms of losing something that you've already had, that kind of stature and stuff. Katsumoto is slightly based on, this whole movie is kind of based on the Satsuma Rebellion, which is also known as the Senon War or Seinen War. Yeah, that's right. Which was led by Saigo Takamori in 1877. So he's kind of based on this dude, but you should know that there is a statue of this guy in Japan right now because he is still looked up to, like in the end of this movie, like Katsumoto is when he dies on the battlefield. And spoiler, and they're all getting on their knees and showing him great honor and respect. Right. So there is some truth to that. And I brought up how Westerners coming over to help modernize the Japanese army. That was mostly the Prussian general staff that did that, not America. But obviously for the movie, you're going to have America because you have Tom Cruise. But in real life, during the Japan Civil War, Jules Brunet was a French military advisor. He actually fought alongside the samurai in the Civil War. And I don't know if he did, but some of his men wore samurai armor.
Right.
So right then and there, it happened. I get why you want to bring it up, but if you're going to bring it up about the white savior complex and just Tom Cruise being in this movie and Tom Cruise being, if you're going to bring all that up, keep reading about where it's from, where it's coming from.
Right.
I get maybe you don't like the message it's sending because they're not really giving everybody the full story. Okay, that's fine. Then you give the full story, but don't just yell at it.
Right.
If you're not willing to kind of read into it and see, okay, well, what else is going on there? Because I am perfectly willing to sit here and say that ain't right. But I can't because it's based on stuff. And you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And he's a messed up character. I don't think he came in to save anybody.
He's saved by the samurai.
Right.
They help him get off his alcoholic addiction. They give him a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah.
The samurai they could have made their last stand without him.
Right.
He's there because he's learning. He's our eyes into this world of the samurai to be like, this is great. Like he's
the audience.
What's that miniseries that came out in the 70s? It was huge.
Roots?
No, about the samurai.
That's the only big miniseries I remember.
Man, my parents don't. I have not watched it, but I know it was big. It was a Bushido. It wasn't called Bushido.
Well,
Shogun. It was called Shogun.
Yeah.
It was similar to
well,
that.
Bushido's the isn't that not the religion, but the code?
That's their code.
Yeah,
but I think there's some movie or TV show called Bushido.
It is. I think you're right.
But this concept, you have to have somebody's eyes. It's tough for any culture to go through and just see oh, this is all Japanese. If you want to do that, watch why am I so bad with names?
Today, man, come on. Today.
More than anything.
Well,
what are the samurai films that?
Seven Samurai.
Who's the director?
Kurosawa.
Watch the Kurosawa films. I mean, those are still pretty big in America and stuff like that, but there's still a little bit of a disconnect there because you're still.
It's a foreign film.
Boom! You're stuck in this culture without any kind of translation going on.
Right. Well, I mean, if you've watched The Magnificent Seven, both versions, and you've loved The Magnificent Seven, guess what? You watch Seven Samurai, so go watch Seven Samurai now. I mean, that's the thing. You're not. Warner Brothers is not going to make a foreign film and spend $150 million on it. I say $140 million on it, hoping you get to the theater. If they're going to slap Tom Cruise, it's to make money that Tom Cruise is in there.
Right.
This is a business. This is not a social experiment. This is not like this is they're in the business of making money. Yes, it's necessary to be socially conscious about the stuff that you're putting on screen. But at the end of the day, don't be fooled. They're trying to make money. And I'm not justifying that, but I'm just telling you why decisions are made like that. That being said, no one's going to see this movie if everyone is speaking Japanese and there's nobody in there from America. This movie's not coming out here. But I will say this.
Well, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did.
But that's more about the action.
Right, exactly.
Which is a great movie. But I will say this, at the end of the movie, when Algren goes there and gives the sword it's actually his sword he gives to him, right? Or is it Katsumoto's sword?
Yeah. His sword is on the back of the horse.
Gives the sword to the emperor. He says, he would have wanted you to have this. I kind of wish that whole thing was in Japanese because I don't know why they're speaking English in that.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
because at that point he knows enough Japanese. So
we've already established that he can have full-on conversations in Japanese with people.
That's what I thought the same thing.
I didn't like that. I was like, come on, you could.
That was pandering to the audience.
I wonder if it was initially in Japanese and maybe an exec's like, no, this is the end.
Better.
Yeah, that I will say that should have been all in Japanese. It just felt kind of everything in this movie felt genuine except kind of that moment, and I was just like, come on now.
I agree. Yeah. That's one of the notes I actually had.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
No,
there.
that's fine. 'Cause we're talking about it.
And I will just to go back to I just want to real quick. I want just to go back to Jules Brunet, who I brought up. He was a French army. He didn't fight alongside Japanese. He actually helped the Chinese army. So it's kind of the same. I take it back. I'm sorry. Cut that out.
I'll cut it.
So I brought up Jules Brunet and I said that he fought alongside. It was in the Boshin War that he fought alongside Inomoto Takai. I probably said that wrong. I apologize. Or Taaki. But also, this is somewhat influenced by an American mercenary known as Frederick Townsend Ward, who helped westernize the Chinese army and form the ever victorious army. So, again, just wanted to throw another couple names out there at everybody, to kind of.
As usual, they're combining certain historical figures into one.
But let's move on. Let's kind of get into the movie. Let's talk about how Cruise almost got decapitated by a sword during one scene. Did you get that? So I bet he was on a mechanical horse and it malfunctioned, and the guy playing Ujio, who we just talked about, the right hand man in Katsumoto, was swinging the sword, and he stopped it short, but he almost cut his throat. Right?
No, way to go.
Cruise spent 2 years learning swordplay and Japanese for this movie.
That's Tom Cruise. I'm not surprised, but that is awesome. That's like one of the things, like doing that kind of stuff to be an actor. It's like so awesome to have that kind of training.
Right.
Like that stunt car work, for like, I always bring it up. The director of the first Bourne movie wanted Matt Damon to learn boxing, not because he ever was going to do boxing in the movie, but Matt Damon got free boxing lessons because he liked the way boxers walked.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's awesome. Hey, Tom, we're going to send you to Samurai Boot Camp for 2 years. Awesome. Yeah. Let's go.
Please. His Scientology army showed up at his house and they probably did it in his backyard.
They were probably like, now you're going to learn a lot about Bushido, Tom, but don't buy into it. Don't buy. It's all fake.
Tom, if you cut some of the Scientology guys, that's fine. Well, that's kind of like Russell Crowe, who learned to play the violin for
Master and Commander.
Master Commander. That's like for La La Land. What's his face? Ryan Gosling learning to play piano. So like that's all about that. Yeah, no,
it's
absolutely.
Still awesome.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You're getting paid for it.
I also, one of the other things I liked in this movie was that they used 500 extras in the final battle scene. Like, it was just nice to watch. Awesome. It was nice to watch a giant scene where it wasn't digitally altered with digital people in the background.
And you can tell, even today, you could tell like, oh yeah, that's so, like Troy. Those are cool battle scenes, but you can tell they're copy and pasted squares.
Yeah.
This was so just everything going on. I'm trying to look for actors overacting and stuff.
Yeah. Fun. No, it's just nice to see. And, it reminded me of Braveheart, which was probably 8 years prior to this. What is it, 96? Yeah. So maybe a little less, 6 years, 7 years. It was and it was really nice to see, because there's one shot where it's a wide shot and they're all fighting. You're like, wow, that's all people right there. That's all people.
All daylight too, so it's like you can't hide anything.
Yep. It was not. It was good. It was good. This movie is not just about, like, I like Ed Zwick. I'm a big Ed Zwick guy. I talked about Glory. I love Glory. I love the movie. Glory was one of the first movies where I watched and I was just like, emotional, and I was just like, oh my God, this movie's so good. I love this movie so much. And when at the end of the movie, when he tells them to give him hell when they're walking to the front line, this is in Glory. I'm like, yeah, I'm yelling with them. So I love that movie and I love everything about Glory. So I do like Edward Zwick, and there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I enjoy. I like the fact that it's such a tough ask for you to tell your sister to take care of the man that just killed your husband in battle and make sure that he's okay. And I thought that they did, because there is, I don't want to say there is romance, but it's more like it takes a while and they don't ever act like he kisses her, but she does not kiss back. And she hugs him at the end when she puts on his armor.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's done in a way where there's no like love scene. There's no, because even that kiss is not a kiss scene. You know what I mean?
The kiss is like almost an incidental kind of thing that happens.
It is, but it's almost like she doesn't want to kiss him back because she thinks he's going to die.
Yeah, it's acknowledging the romance at like the worst possible time.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's probably too late for this.
One of the other things I enjoyed was the action, was the fighting.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, which one did you like the? I mean, let's take the final battle out of it.
Okay.
Which one did you like the best? When they get attacked by, I guess that's a ninja tribe or another samurai tribe.
It's ninjas, yeah.
Okay.
Ninjas are just dishonorable samurai, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
So, did you enjoy when they're fighting and Tom Cruise goes? Algren is in the house, and then they start fighting side by side? Or did you like when Algren fights on the street, when he fights those 4 dudes that kind of ambush him?
Originally, I loved the street fight. When I watched it this time, I didn't like the street fight as much.
Why not? What's up?
Because it goes slow first, it ramps it up to normal speed first, and then we see the fight again in slow motion.
Yeah,
it's like a dream, and it's like it should have been the other way around.
Well, do you think I wondered why that scene was in there, and I wondered if the way they did that scene was that he was remembering his moves and the fact that there's still one guy left.
That was my theory. Either it was that he's now going through, did I kill all the guys?
Right.
Or because he cleared his mind, is he only just now processing what he did?
Okay.
But either way, because when you see it in the first fight, when he's training, it goes slow first. And he's trying to memorize, okay, he's probably going to do this move, and anticipating it in his mind. And then you go the other way around in the street. I just didn't think it was necessary.
Okay.
I also think that kind of calms down the excitement you just had. It should be ramped up or normal speed second. It should be like that quick, holy crap, what just happened moment. That should be the last thing you're left with in a fight, is that excitement.
Okay. But now you liked the other fight better then.
So the ninja fight's awesome.
Right.
I mean, it's a little ridiculous. It's a little overblown. But
why is it? Well, how?
I don't know. I just think that it pops up like, hey, this movie needs some action right here.
Well, they talk about how Omura sends the ninja tribe at them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, the other thing was like he's like, it's going to be winter, so snow's going to block the pass. So you're stuck here till spring. And then like there's like no snow for the next 45 minutes. And then there's one scene and they're walking in the snow.
Well, I think where they are, they're protected from the snow by
the mountains.
Surrounding mountains.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess that makes sense why he sends, because the reason I still really like that scene. It's really cool. Is I was like, he's against traditionalist Japan, but yet he's sending ninjas, which are at this point hundreds and hundreds of years old at this point as well as the samurai. But then it's like, well, if he can't get his modern troops through, the ninjas can definitely climb the mountain, scale it, and go through. So that's maybe why he hired him.
Well, they also give you the impression that Omura is
working.
He's not someone you can trust. The Emperor's too weak. You get them because he's young, so he's trying to listen to advice. He tells Katsumoto, "Tell me what to do." When they meet,
he put too much on his plate. That's kind of what you get.
Yeah,
he's wanting to modernize, but he's still just a kid. So
right.
This is a lot for him to handle.
And he's trying to listen to everyone else, and they're making deals, and obviously Omer promised the Americans something, and at the end, and he just tells them that, why don't you give them all your riches if you're so worried about Japan, that kind of thing.
Right.
That goes to the point where you're talking about how the samurai were corrupt. So they do kind of like do a little bit on the other side of that, whether that's real or not. I mean, I believe it's not hard for me to believe that somebody's advisor to the emperor, to the president, to anybody is corrupt, trying to be out for themselves.
Oh, right.
Stuff
Whenever
like that.
somebody's,
So,
rich people want to just get richer.
yeah, shocker.
That's a classic theme. Tale as old as time.
You talked about how Aldridge, is it Aldrin or Aldridge? Aldrin is he's no longer an alcoholic. Like he, stops his dependency on alcohol.
Taka kind of forces that, but yes.
Right. But like then he's like drinking again.
Because he's upset again. He falls back into the bottle. That happens with alcoholics all the time.
I guess. But they don't really it's more of, they don't really give any weight to it after that. I
think he's suddenly now given an opportunity to rejoin. And so now he can stop. Remember, he has never lived in a place for so long. And he's only there for the winter since he was 17.
Right.
This is the guy who's never had family. He's never had a life. He's never had dreams or a goal other than, killing. And even that he doesn't want to do. So he's a man without a purpose. And he's given a purpose. And that allows him to kind of go, okay, I don't need this again.
Well, he's haunted by the actions that he did with Bagley. About how they slaughtered women and children of I can't remember the tribe. It was supposed to be it's supposed to be based on something that really happened. They talk about Custer a lot,
right?
How Katsumoto talks about how he is enamored with Custer, and how he went out in a blaze of glory kind of deal. And then I forgot about the Thermopylae stuff when he tells him about the story about the 300, which I'm sure you've all watched that movie. And at the end, he's like, "What happened to all the soldiers of Thermopylae? Every last one of them dead." And he's like, he smiles. Yeah. That I thought that was good. And in that fight too, like he slices the dude right down the middle of his face.
Yeah, he does. Awesome.
The one thing I'll say about the fight, because I keep comparing it to Braveheart, it's not as bloody as Braveheart. Braveheart is really bloody.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but there were a lot of fallen horses in this one that I was
thinking the same thing.
It was
horses,
really tough to watch.
Like that can't be easy for even stunt horses. Like even though they're trained,
they don't know what they're doing. Like, yeah. I kept thinking like, how many of these they put down? Like how many got hurt? Because there's some like they had like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of just horses falling at some point.
Yep.
It was kind of tough to watch a little bit.
I mean, you get the Humane Society thing at the end, saying no animals were harmed, but
yeah. What did you think about Nobutada's when they cut his top knot off? Did that feel staged? Like he's just in the middle of the street, standing there, and then all of a sudden he's harassed?
I felt like there was no build up to it. Yeah,
right.
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
That could just be there's a slightly longer version of that scene, but
maybe.
I think it's just there to trigger Tom Cruise and to trigger Algren to go, oh, no, I'm with the samurai, and further, raise the suspicions of the men that were sent to follow him.
Yeah. Nobutada's death on the bridge is kind of symbolic of, old versus new. I mean, there are a lot of soldiers that keep coming around that corner. They just didn't stop.
Yeah, there's a lot of guards.
But he charges them on the bridge and they blow him away with their muskets. And he's fighting them off with his bow and arrows. So it's and those bows, man, those are huge.
Oh yeah. Samurai bows are awesome.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
What did you think about the relationship between Algren and the kids, Taka's kids? We talked about with Taka.
They the older one, they kind of show him being cool to him a little bit because obviously he's old enough to know that he killed his father.
Right.
But they never really dive into it. He has more of a connection or more scenes with the younger kid, especially when that kid's telling him he doesn't want him to go fight in the war and the battle, and he's crying. That kid was just pretty good. And the kid was pretty good in that scene.
Right.
Yeah, no, it just I kind of really dug Cruise in this movie, and some of the smaller moments. I thought he was really on. If that's
yes,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't sense I don't know. I didn't sense
He was very
acting,
different. Yeah, he was a
maybe?
very different Tom Cruise.
right.
He wasn't all smiles and stuff like that. He was a very troubled,
Mm-hmm.
toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like in Collateral, where he plays the villain, it's like this is a very different Tom Cruise than we're used to seeing,
Right.
which I really like. But I really like the relationship he has with the kids because it's so interesting with the samurai culture and the way that they live their life and think. They understand that, he killed his father in
Right.
glorious battle. So his father died a good death.
Right.
So they don't hate him, but they don't like him. It's tough. They're like torn between the two, and you kind of see that at the beginning.
Well, who says it too? It's not the wife. Maybe it's a brother. Nobutada's a brother that says that it's or maybe it was the wife, that the samurai way is very hard on children because they don't understand it.
Yes.
So they do mention that. I think it was her. They do mention that in the movie, that it's just it's difficult for them to kind of wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
So there is that, I can imagine it's tough to understand all that. I just really I talked about it a little bit before about Watanabe winning the supporting actor nod, and or I thought that he should have, or he was really good in this. He's got scenes and he's very reserved at times, which is nice. I love every time he ends his conversation, he just runs away.
Yeah.
He's quick to walk away, but he's got a lot of emotions and thought processes going on in his head in different scenes. He's curious. He wants to know his enemy. He wants to know his friend. He's got to protect the town. He's got to, lead his emperor out of the shadow. Like there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and his moments with Cruise are really good. I kind of wish there was more talks between them, but that's probably not a movie that people want to see.
Yeah, you get that kind of like they're not exactly friends, and then you just have that montage where you see them talk, but you can't hear anything. That's like, okay, now we've talked a lot.
There's really no way to do that unless you want a 3-hour movie, because this movie's already 235, 240.
Yeah, you got to add more time to a long movie.
Yeah, so it's really tough to kind of do that.
What I really like about Ken Watanabe's character is that he's very, like you say, he's reserved at time. He's quick to walk away, but he's also not the typical, hardened, ancient leader. He's got moments of levity as well, where he's funny, he's sarcastic, he's not like, I love the scene when they talk to the other side right before the final battle, and he comes back and he goes to his men and goes, well, they won't surrender.
Yeah.
And everybody laughs. It's just like that moment of levity right before a huge battle. It's not what you maybe expect from this great samurai leader. But
I think you don't expect fear, because to die in battle is a great honor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect anything like dour at that moment. So I think that was good. I think they just none of them, if they die, they die. And that's great, to die fighting for what you believe in. That's their code. It's minus the corruption that you referred to before. That's not in this movie, but hey, who cares?
Yeah, I love that the last battle is your two protagonists are expected to die. You're going through that last 25 minutes of the movie where both protagonists could die, probably will die, and expect to die,
right,
and kind of want to die.
I forgot.
So it's a very interesting ending.
I forgot that Cruise survived. Like, I thought he died. For some reason, I remember the scene when they're charging, and I remember the scene when they had the gun, the machine guns. And then I thought it just, for some reason in the back of my mind, I thought it just faded out or faded away. I maybe I'm mixing it with another movie, but I didn't remember him surviving.
It might be because of Timothy Spall's last speech,
where
he says that, a lot of people think he went back to America or that he succumbed from his wounds.
Right.
But I like to think he made it back. It's kind of like telling the true story of like, yeah, this guy probably didn't survive that battle, but we're going to give you that Hollywood ending.
But he does tell that story after he presents the sword. So he already was patched up. It's not like he was bleeding out giving him the sword.
He was patched up, but you got to wonder how long after that is that, because he's having trouble getting two inches off to that new mat. He's really struggling.
That's acting, baby.
That's good. Yeah, he got messed up by those machine guns. I love that scene where all the colonel is crying while the machine guns are pumping out. as he's watching.
The second in command.
Second
Yeah,
in command.
Amuro,
I
yeah.
assume he's the colonel, but
Yeah, no, you're right, because Amuro is whatever he is, but he, I like the way Tony Goldwyn goes down, like real quick, sword right through the chest, and there's line to him. He's like, yeah, I'll go over there and train Jappos how to kill for 500.
Yeah, train me to kill Jappos. I'll kill Jappos.
Yeah,
kill me Reds. I'll kill Reds. But just remember, I'll gladly kill you for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you on the battlefield.
And he does. Oh, I know. I was surprised. I figured like because in the first battle, he's like to the back. This isn't our fight. Like they're gonna go away, and they kind of. I was waiting for him to say something like "I'll see you in the back" or something like that, but yeah, didn't.
Well, I love that he's just getting more and more. Bagley's getting more and more upset that Amura's sending in the whole force.
He won't listen to him.
He's like what? Just send in small skirmishes. Oh nope, yep. And he is understanding like, we don't have a chance. So he's like, go again. He's just like, fine, I'll go take care of this. But I loved the village was the sets and stuff were so good in this movie as well.
Well, when they're what city they supposed to be in Tokyo? No,
I assume because it's the Emperor's Day. Yeah.
So when they're in Tokyo, when they're in the,
I like when they're in Tokyo. I like the shots of like the power cables and the stations, and then you get the people in Western costumes, Western outfits walking around, the white people, the Japanese people, but then you still get those high society Japanese people, the woman being carried in the carriage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the woman in the little box?
Yeah.
What was that?
That's how they just got traveled around.
Just in a box?
Yeah, it's a carriage. But
she's a geisha, right? Was she a geisha?
I don't know if she's a geisha or just a high class woman, but
gotcha.
yeah.
A high class woman.
Well,
right
she's
there.
got people to carry her around.
Oh, I got you.
But even the village, the samurai village, is so well made and so well done and so just awesome to look at. And you have the steps of the rice field, you have their saunas and stuff like that. Like I know it's filmed in New Zealand, but it's really this otherworldly, beautiful landscape that you see, especially when we're in Samurai Town.
Well, it's like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's done a little different. It's got some plants there and stuff there.
No, I got you.
But I just really enjoyed the set work. And the inside of the houses and stuff, like Taka's house, was really, really well done, I think.
Right.
And the traditional costumes and the samurai outfits. The swords were awesome. Which I guess the swordsmith that's making the swords in the montage before the war, he's actually an actual Japanese swordsmith.
He made, 13 or 14 swords for the movie, like real swords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really cool that they had that in there.
So so was there anything in this movie that you really didn't like? Like, because there's some things that you were like, it was okay, it's okay. And like, could this movie be shorter? Should this movie have been shorter? It's long.
See, it's long, but I never noticed the length. I mean, this is probably my fifth time seeing it. Granted, it's been a while, so it's like I can watch it now and be like, oh, okay. It's like watching it for the first time again, but it's still, it moves so well. You've got the interspersed action, you've got these conversations, you have great acting. The movie never drags. Everything like we always talk about it. Everything in the script, I think, services the story, with the possibility that the ninjas are thrown in because maybe we're a little too slow at that point. But I still love the ninja scene because it's just awesome and cool.
Well, the ninja scene is also, the attack is also to show you that what he's learned, what Aldridge has learned, and also like how he's protecting him, how he's allegiance, or he's
suddenly shifted his
right. Yeah. He's not doesn't view them as enemy. Which the one thing I will say when he has safe passage to the Emperor, and they just let him go, they let Aldrin go.
His whole thing was he was going to be free. Yeah. Aldrin doesn't live there.
He was never going to come back.
He was never supposed to come back. Right.
But the reason why he took him in was because he had that dream about the white tiger. And then when he sees him fighting 6 samurai, he's waving the flag that has their white tiger flag on it.
Exactly like his vision. Right.
But like he was supposed to save him for some reason, but then he's just okay with letting him go.
Well, because maybe he had the white tiger so that he could save him from the ninja. Right.
Okay.
So maybe he accepted his.
Maybe that's what it was.
And they made an honorable. He told him, he made a promise. I will let you go when the snow melts and spring arrives.
Okay.
So.
All right.
He's good. I'll let him go.
So you put this on the list.
I put this on the list, and then you chose it for this season.
Did I really?
Yes. This was your choice for this season. I put it on.
Probably because I hadn't
originally.
seen it in a while.
But if you're going to ask me why I think it's forgotten,
Well, that's where I was going. I don't know if you're familiar with the name of this podcast, but yes.
I think, and it's the same reason that I actually have Gladiator in this list as well. I think a lot of historical,
Which I don't think should be on the list. But go ahead.
I think a lot of historical films are kind of forgotten, and now you get a lot of different kind of films nominated for Best Picture. You get a lot of flack about, like I said, Tom Cruise being the one guy in there. So you're never gonna like show this again in like a big way or in a positive light. I don't think. Now it's always going to be within that negative connotation.
Sure.
And I think this film deserves to be seen. I think there's a lot of good in this film. I think the message is actually there's a good message in this film, even if, you know, in real life maybe the samurai were a bit corrupt, and, you know, it's this loss of honor, the sense of doing what's right, of just as well, just filmmaking as well, just looking at the film, the battle scenes, the acting, the fact that it's 2 hours and 40 minutes and really doesn't feel like 2 hours 2:35 and doesn't feel like it. It really moves. It's really well done. It's really well acted. We didn't even talk about the score. Hans Zimmer's score is really well done and barely has any drums.
Nope. Yep.
Which is amazing for Hans Zimmer. But I think this is an incredible film with awesome acting by actual Japanese actors from Japan. I think it's a great blend of East and West, and I think it deserved to be seen. And I think Tom Cruise, just like in Collateral, really nails it with his portrayal of Algren and his, you know, you're not getting that smiley Tom Cruise. You get a really troubled protagonist.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It runs the risk of being forgotten because of the possible negative flack that, you know, we talked about a little bit at the start of this podcast. And I think we laid it out. I don't want to lay it out again. But I will say, like, in terms of being historically accurate, and not just this movie, but any movie, stuff that's historically accurate, that you want stuff to be right. You want stuff to be how it was or how it truly happened. Well, that's great. Go watch a documentary about it, because this is not a doc. This is a story. And they take liberties. I got to tell you, even a biopic that you watch, or even any kind of story, you give me a story that you love, not you, but anybody love, and I will find you the time when they fudge something. They
absolutely,
because it's impossible to get it perfect. And if you get it perfect, it's a documentary. Go watch a documentary. This is not what you're watching. You're not watching true life. You're watching a story, and liberties are taking all the time. This is what people get paid a lot of money to take liberties and tell stories. That's what they're doing. The design of a movie is to get your butt in the seat and to pay the money. That's what the goal is. It's not, you don't have to like it. That's fine, but that's what it is. That's what they're doing here. So that kind of complaint, that argument, while I understand it, that's not, I mean, you're arguing something that nobody's disagreeing with you about, but that's not why they're making the movie, you know? So, like, people shouldn't just not watch this movie because someone else said, like, oh, that's one of these type of movie. No, watch the movie and make your own opinion and make your own judgment. It's only 17 years old, and I mean, we see it every once in a while, but it's never. This is one of those movies that is almost an example of what we talk about in our opening. Whether you see a movie that comes out and you like it, but you never talk about it ever again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this is one of those movies that you liked when you saw it, and then you never went back to it because you liked when you saw it, and that was it.
Well, I think a lot of, like I said, like at the start, I think a lot of historical dramas now, they're just they don't happen. You don't get a lot of historical dramas. You get it maybe as far as like the 50s and 60s, but that's kind of, especially like Best Picture winners and Best Picture noms, that's what they're looking for now. You're getting these more modern Best Picture winners. These, what do they call them when you make a film that you're making to try to get the Best Picture? There's a name for that. Prestige pictures.
Oh, right.
You're making these prestige pictures. They're not historical dramas anymore. The historical dramas are going to like Netflix, like the one that Chris Pine did or the one that Timothée Chalamet did. You know, these movies aren't being shown as like these, like, oh, like maybe audiences got tired of them.
Sure.
Or
that's all cyclical.
Maybe film studios are just think audiences don't want to watch them anymore.
Well, you also have, we can get into it, but you also have a studio system that is big on tentpole movies, and the tentpole movies that they're big on are superhero films, because those are the movies that make money. This movie would not get made now. This movie, if it got made, would not get made for $140 million.
They don't want to put all that money into a big historical drama because it's not a big budget superhero.
Warner Brothers wants to make Fantastic Beasts, even though I just read an article where it's not going to do anything, but they want to make big giant franchise IP movies that can keep going, and that's why they redo Batman all the time. So it's like they wouldn't do a movie like this. They wouldn't be as apt to do a movie like this unless a big time star like Cruise comes to them and is like, I'm doing this movie. I'm putting up this amount of money. He took no upfront salary for this movie.
12 points in the back end.
Of course.
Right.
So, I mean, he had to sweeten the deal, obviously, to get them to do it. But Tom Cruise is still, you can say how crazy he is, or you think he's weird and nuts, and we joked about the Scientology thing a little bit. You can say all you want. He still brings people into the theater, and people love him. And I love him. So yeah. So like I said before, can't wait to see Top Gun Maverick. And I could care less what Tom Cruise does at his off time. I want to see Top Gun Maverick. So there you go.
Absolutely.
All right, Butler. Why don't you do what you do and let everyone know where they can find us?
All right.
Do what you do, man.
You can find, if you want to find our other episodes, you can find us on ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com, as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. We are also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Forgotten Cinema Pod or Forgotten Cinema. Look us up, comment, suggest movies. We'll always put them on the list. We'll get to them in time. Maybe not right away, but we will get to them. What did you think about Last Samurai? You can comment on our post as well after we release this. Let us know what you guys thought. We'd love to have conversations. We'd love to talk about movies. We come out every Wednesday. A commercial comes out every Thursday. Check out those commercials. They're pretty fun. We do it for you guys.
We do? All right. Well, then, and you know what? And that, join us next week. We're going to be going to 1998. We're going back a couple years from The Last Samurai. We're going to be doing a Butler pick, The Negotiator, starring Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, I blanked on the name, and J.T. Walsh. So that's next week in The Negotiator. Until then, have a great week. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, everyone, take care. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
Do you want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
All right.
I'm
Everyone.
keeping that mess up in there.
No, that's not cool.
Fine, I'll cut it.
God forbid you cut my stuff. You never mess up.
I messed up on all those names. I'll probably keep that.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
This is a very good conversation.